Hello, and what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Psycho-Synopsis. I am Master of the TDS, and I am joined by my lovely wife,
WritingRaven. Now let's get into it.
Yes, sorry, good point. Are you he or she or they?
We know everything, thanks.
And you know nothing? It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. Because she'd have understood.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Because the Doctor's
Male
and female.
And neither. And more.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
That's odd. I was told the fans would be back.
Who cares about the fans as long as Twitter is happy?
In The Star Beast, Doctor Who attempts a reunion episode with familiar elements, but falls short of revitalizing the show's declining popularity, and even with the return of past characters, the narrative lacks the grand spectacle needed to save the series, indicating a continued decline in fan interest.
No kidding.
This abomination of a special.
Don't insult abominations.
They brought back David Tennant, they brought back Catherine Tate, and then proceeded to use them to drive an entire special that is literally about being transgender.
Yeah, you heard that right.
I wish I could clarify that. That's entirely what the thing is. We're talking the Doctor getting corrected on pronouns and all this stuff. Now, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen the special and still wants to.
And for anyone who cares.
The Dr. Donna comes back and she sacrifices herself to come back to, like, save her child or whatever. And then basically the trans character touches her, and because she's transgender and she is both male and female or whatever we want to say, it makes Donna come back to life.
Somehow.
And then she proceeds to berate David Tennant because he's a man, a male-presenting Time Lord, so he wouldn't understand how to deal with the Dr. Donna, and if he was only a female still, he would be able to.
Yes, and also saying that he's a Time Lord when the Timeless Children declared that he is not a Time Lord.
It seems like they forgot that.
Yes, they did. I hate when writers can never stick to their own lore.
Now, also, it ends off the episode by mentioning how the Doctor is both male, female, neither, and more.
Gross.
It's not even a gross thing. It's like, why?
Because they can? I don't know.
They brought back fan-favorite characters to bring people back to the show because the show was hemorrhaging viewers. And you can tell me all you want about how many people on Twitter talk about it. It doesn't matter because they don't watch the shows, which is evident by the viewing numbers.
Yeah, what he said.
They brought all them back and then used it as a vehicle for the message. The BBC's own review of it on their website mentions how it's a preachy a vehicle for the message.
Yes. Look it up for yourself if you don't believe us.
It's just like, why? All you had to do was give us a decent special reflecting on 60 years of Doctor Who and would kind of meet everybody halfway. Look, we weren't asking for an amazing thing. A decent story would have been fine. But you had to make this all about the message and preachiness and all this kind of stuff. It's not interesting.
If I were David Tennant or Catherine Tate and I had read that script, I would have walked away.
But you see, David Tennant and Catherine Tate are probably very for this kind of stuff. Now, we're not going to go too much into the ideology and whatever. We're Jewish, so you could probably understand our opinion based off of that, but we're not going to go into it because that's not what we do here.
No, it is not. We try to be positive on this channel.
But this didn't matter to the plot. It wasn't important. You made it matter to the plot. And it didn't have to. All we asked for was a good story. You could have brought so many people back if you had just done this. But not only are you not retconning the Timeless Children, you're still pushing forward with this. You're like quadrupling down. And I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how many member berries you throw our way. It's not going to get me to watch.
The show is dead. At this point, you're just committing necrophilia. You all should be arrested for such an atrocity. Goodbye, the end. There's the door.
I'm just, like, I want to get upset about this, and honestly, and my wife can tell you from looking at me, I'm just tired.
Yeah, he has this bereft, apathetic look on him. He really just doesn't care.
I'll end off with this. Don't you think Doctor Who looks tired?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Actress Daisy Ridley claims that the upcoming Rey-centric Star Wars film has a compelling and worthwhile story, although her lack of script reading raises questions amid lingering skepticism from fans about Rey's character, especially considering the rejection of her in the past.
Announcing that there is no script does raise a lot of questions.
Now, to be fair, they just came out of a strike, so there's probably not a lot to work with anyways. The question is, will we even see this?
I doubt it.
Because they've announced so many different Star Wars projects and then canceled them, and they haven't actually put out a movie since the rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, which is technically the rise of Palpatine, because she's a Palpatine, not a Skywalker.
Yes, but think about that. They haven't put out a movie, aside from Indiana Jones, they haven't put out a Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker.
That is true.
And people want to say that Star Wars is doing just fine. It became a TV show.
And even the TV show is not doing fine.
A multi-million-dollar franchise became a TV show. Explain that.
You can't. Oh, actually you can. Put a chicken in and make her gay!
Well, they haven't done that yet. But they probably will. But the viewing numbers for the Star Wars shows haven't been good. And they decided that they were going to announce at Celebration that they were going to announce that Daisy Ridley was coming back to play Rey in this movie, and she's going to rebuild the Jedi Temple, which was what Luke was supposed to do.
Yeah. And as you can see, Master's image of old Rey drinking green milk, which is always going to be hilarious, by the way.
That's what we need to see. That's the only thing I'm okay with. There's only two ways you can get my interest in this movie, okay?
What are they?
Disney executives, Lucasfilm, whether you're under my bed or not, listen up. There's two ways you can get me interested in this movie. One, make it that Rey is evil. You literally set it up for that at the end, and then you just said, well, she didn't strike down Palpatine in anger, so she didn't get possessed by him, even though that was never specified, but okay.
Which makes no sense because she's pretty much angry the entire movie.
Two, make her old, drinking green milk.
And very cranky and grumpy.
And then you can have one of her students go, Master Skywalker, what are we going to do? And she'll just pick up the lightsaber and go, fling, I don't care.
Why can't it be the green milk that they toss?
Because they need to drink it? I don't know.
Milk is not supposed to be green!
It's because it's alien milk.
Milk is not supposed to be green!
Are we really having this conversation right now?
Good point.
Okay, whatever. But long story short, like, Star Wars is not in a good place. The viewing numbers for the shows haven't been good. You can cry about it all you want, but honestly, even Ahsoka didn't do well, which doesn't bode well. Now, they recently promoted Dave Filoni
as the creative head of Lucasfilm?
Which, I want to preface this by saying, Dave Filoni was already this. They just changed the title for it, because I think that partially this is because the backlash or the reaction from the South Park joining the Panderverse.
Which will always be glorious.
Now, whether or not this is true, we'll never know, but we do know that Kathleen Kennedy was not very happy about it. That's from different sources. And it wouldn't be surprising if she wasn't happy about it.
Of course, because the episode pretty much took shots at her most of the time.
Now, it did take shots at the other side, at our side, I guess, the other side, too.
Yes, but it was funny. That was the point. It made us laugh because it was partially true and partially satire.
And also keep in mind that the entire thing was about, like, put a chick in it, make her gay. You know, that was the part of the biggest part of the whole arc. And so saying that, oh, it was meant to be that Cartman's the bad guy and you're all the bad guys. Yeah, we all know that's not true. Mm-hmm. I really think that whether this movie actually comes out, we don't know. But I actually think if it does come out, I'd be interested to see how many people show up. Because the Marvels has shown us that, guess what?
What?
The audience they want isn't there.
It doesn't exist. We've been telling them that for ages, and they will not listen.
They tweet on Twitter, they cry and scream about things, and they don't go watch it. The Marvel's numbers show it. You can claim strike, whatever you want, but I think that if this movie comes out and there's no strikes, no things to blame, and it does badly, which I think it will do,
they'll blame men.
They'll blame men, but they also have to recognize that we were right from the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then we'll just have to strike more squares off the bingo card because they will try to explain it away why it failed.
You said you weren't the one trying to destroy our world. Then who is?
It is known by many names. My people called it
the Walt Disney Company.
The Devourer of Worlds. It must feed on energy to survive, both thermal and organic.
Marvel Studios is rumored to gender swap the Silver Surfer in the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot, portraying the iconic character as female and aligning it with previous speculations about a female Herald of Galactus in the MCU.
When they could use one of his already female heralds and not have to change the Silver Surfer!
Like Frankie Ray, aka Nova.
Or Stardust! Or any of the others that I forget the names of.
Doesn't surprise me to hear this. Now, I have to say that this is a rumor. We do not have concrete evidence for this.
But it really would not be surprising if it were true, considering how often these things have happened in the last few years. Will any of us be surprised? Will any of us be surprised if it turns out to be true?
No, because they do this all the time. See, they could very easily add a female herald. The problem is that would not get headlines. What they want is headlines. Changing the Silver Surfer to female gets headlines. Changing the Silver Surfer with a female herald doesn't do that at all.
True, because the Silver Surfer is the most recognizable herald of Galactus, and people who are not comic book fans will not recognize any of the others.
Well, that, and also keep in mind, they can post article after article how the MCU is changing the Silver Surfer, how it's amazing, all these different headlines, and they can also stoke outrage. That's what they want. So this would not surprise me. However, my thoughts about this are the following. I think that this is not necessarily true. I think this is being workshopped, meaning they throw it out there to some of the people who are making, scoopers to see what reactions would be if they were to do this.
I feel like you've said that with a lot of other things before, but you're not always wrong about that.
Well, I think that's the case because we hear all these rumors about things and they don't end up coming to fruition. You kind of wonder, where did they come from?
That's a good point.
Is it just people, trying to get a scoop or trying to get attention? It could be. But it could also be that they're actually were told things like this that they let slip on purpose to see what the reaction would be. Now, I don't think the Silver Surfer is going to look like Michael Jackson, as I made him look like.
You literally just typed in Silver Surfer female as Michael Jackson.
But, putting that aside, whether or not this is true is not the point. The point is this is a trend. Literally, if they were to do this, comment sections would be flooded with put a chick in it, make it lame and gay, because that's what they do.
They would probably just turn off the comments, in which case everyone would just use quote tweets instead.
Or they turn off the comments on the videos, which they might do. But the thing is, this is not surprising to hear, but at the same time, we have to doubt its credibility because we've heard many different rumors like this before, and it turned out to be false. In the past, they've already made changes to the Fantastic Four. I actually am a fan of the original Fantastic Four. I think it was much better than people give it credit for, and it's aged very well.
Not the one from the 70s, the one from 2005.
The Silver Surfer one was not good. The casting was great, but the movie for the Silver Surfer, the whole Galactus, making Galactus a giant fart cloud, was not good.
Yeah, no one liked that. They only showed his actual silhouette over Saturn once, and then you never saw it again.
There were apparently, cut concept art for him towering in a city full of fog and whatever, and that would have made it much better.
Yeah.
But
they probably didn't have the budget for it.
I don't know. Regardless, I will say that movie did do something right. It did do the whole scene with Stan Lee being turned away from Susan and Reed's wedding, which is in the comics, which is hilarious.
Uh-huh. That is your favorite cameo of Stan Lee. Rest in peace, Stan Lee, you absolute legend!
Yeah, that's my favorite cameo of Stanley because they did it so well. Now, I don't like that movie necessarily, but I will say I'm wondering if... I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think that we'll look back on that Fantastic Four and we'll recognize eventually that it is the most accurate portrayal of the Fantastic Four that we've gotten. I know that a lot of people have various different problems with Doom and Reed and Susan, and that's fine. But I think that it'll end up looked back on very fondly versus what we have now. Whether they will make a Silver Surfer female, who knows?
They'd better not. Norin Rad must remain Norin Rad.
Oh, it's Nora Rad now.
Sigh.
Therapy is a valuable tool to help you understand yourself.
And now it is time for the diagnosis of the week.
Where we diagnose the week with a mental illness.
Because someone has to.
And we have an interesting diagnosis for you this week.
Do tell.
So the diagnosis for this week is the empathy gap.
Please explain.
The empathy gap describes our tendency to underestimate the influence of varying mental states on our own behavior and make decisions that only satisfy our current emotion, feeling, or state of being.
In relation to today's topic, Doctor Who is taking on the direction, ideology, and feelings of RTD rather than listening or attempting to understand the fans' point of view.
Star Wars is banking everything on Rey, ignoring that the overall sentiment towards Rey is negative.
And changing the Silver Surfer to a female rather than just using a female herald is again showing that Disney Marvel only cares about the message and not pleasing the fans.
This is a thing we see in Hollywood a lot now, this empathy gap. They make all these decisions and changes based on their own feelings or to satisfy their own state of being or a very small minority who screams loudly on Twitter, and not the fans. Doctor Who is a very good example of this. They quadrupled down. Star Wars is already in the ground because of this. Changing the Silver Surfer, everybody isn't surprised by this anymore because they do it all the time. It's time for Hollywood to stop thinking about themselves and start thinking about the fans again, because only then will they start to see success, which, whether that will happen or not, is anybody's guess. And that's why I feel this is a great diagnosis for this week.
I agree.
That is all we have for this week. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and also make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe with notifications on so you do not miss your weekly therapy session.
Or you will be charged.
Gothic Therapy out.